Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Text number 18, page 673. Ankara balam darpam. Everyone repeat. Ankaram pamakridam sa samsritaha Mamatma paradeheshu Swadvishanto abhishuyakaha. Word for word. Hankaram, false ego. Balam, strength. Parpam, pride. Kaman, lust. Bodam, anger. Cha, also. Samritiha, having taken shelter of. Mam, me. Atma, in their own. Para, and another. Eshu, bodies. Abhishantaha, blasphemy. Abhirya, suyakaha, envious. Translation, purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti-yoga Swami Srila Prabhupada. Bewildered by false ego, strength, pride, lust, anger, the demons become envious of the Supreme Personal Godhead who is situated in their own bodies and the bodies of others, and blaspheme against the real religion. Purport. The demoniac person being always against God's supremacy does not like to believe in the scriptures. He is envious about the scriptures and the existence of the Supreme Personal Godhead. This is caused by so-called prestige and his accumulation of wealth and strength. He doesn't know that the present life is a preparation for the next life, nor, not knowing this, he's actually envious of his own self as well as others. He commits violence on other bodies and on his own. He doesn't care for supreme control of the personality of Godhead because he has no knowledge. Being envious of the scriptures, the Supreme Personality of Godhead puts forward false arguments against the existence of God and denies the scriptural authorities. He thinks himself independent and powerful in every action. He thinks that since no one can equal him in strength, power, or wealth, he can act in any way and no one can stop him. If he has any enemies who might check the advancement of his sensual activities, he makes plans to cut him down by his own power. Om Arjana Turamdasya Chinajana Sakaya Sakshuri Mitam Jaina Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Garamaram Danti Sapadantikam. I'll leave the door open. Can you keep the door open? Open. Yeah, both sides. Air come flowing in. So this verse, this section of the Bhagavad-Gita, Divine and Demoniac, verses 10 through 18, are describing the qualities of the demoniac person. Krishna first told Arjuna of the divine qualities which Arjuna possesses, and now he's reiterating in so many verses 10 through 18. Taking shelter of insatiable lust and absorbed in the conceit of false pride and false prestige, the demoniac thus illusioned always has sworn to unclean work, attracted by the impermanent. The demoniac thinks, so much wealth do I have today, and I will gain more according to my schemes. So much is more now, mine now, and will increase in the future more and more. He is my enemy, I have killed him, and my other enemies will also be killed. I am the Lord of everything, I am the enjoyer, I am perfect, powerful, happy. I am the richest man, surrounded by aristocratic relatives. There is none so powerful and happy as I am. I shall perform sacrifice, I shall give some charity, and thus I shall rejoice. In this way, such persons are deluded by ignorance. And yesterday's verse is pretty similar to today's verse. Self-complacent, always impudent, deluded by wealth and false prestige, they sometimes proudly perform sacrifice in name only, without following any rules or regulations. In today's verse, being bewildered by false ego, strength, pride, lust, anger, the demons become envious of the Supreme Personality Godhead, who is situated in their own bodies, the bodies of others, and blasphemy against real religion. So one time, two men were talking, and they had a friend who they went to school with. And one man said, "Did you hear so-and-so has become a Supreme Court judge?" And the other man said, "Well, that may be true, but he's not getting any salary." So this is a symptom of someone's envious of someone. He couldn't believe it, that the man had gotten a big position. So just to show his envy, like a snake, cobra, are envious. So the word envy means someone who's discontent and of someone's possessions or of someone's success. In this verse, Prabhupada used the word envy 4 or 5 times. So, if someone has a big car and we don't have one, we're envious. Someone has a beautiful wife and I don't have one, we're envious. Someone has some success, he has a big position, or he's a sannyasi or whatever, we also can be envious of such a person. Of course, they're talking about the demoniac people. And Srila Prabhupada was faced with so many envious people. When he went to Australia, they made the Vyasa-san, they arranged some speaking engagement at the university in Australia, and they made a Vyasa-san that looked like something the King of Heaven would sit on. Like it looked like a rocket ship or something. And of course, people saw that, they became envious. When Prabhupada tried to give a lecture, there were people in the audience who were envious, saying, why is this man sitting on such a big, opulent seat? So probably could understand the mentality of the Western people. So from that time on, he never would sit on the Vyasadhan in public engagements. And other times, people would ask Srila Prabhupada, you're supposed to be a spiritual person, why are you riding in such a big car? When Prabhupada was going to Africa, they sent him a message that we got the best car in the country and we got the best hotel for you in the country. And Prabhupada sent back a message, I will stay in the temple and you can pick me up in the temple car. So Prabhupada didn't demand these things. Big car, he said, what's this big car? It's made of plastic, glass, steel. It's not such a wonderful thing. It should be a gold car. For a spiritual master should have a gold car. But people were envious to see Prabhupada riding in a big car, having so many followers. So envy is there, and it's there from the time of birth. These demonic qualities are situated in the heart of the living entity when at the time when he takes birth, according to the way that he is conceived. The parents, if he's conceived out of lust, then he'll have lusty qualities and demoniac qualities. If his parents are devotees and do perform the ritualistic ceremonies and chant 50 rounds before conceiving a child, then he will have godly qualities. But the godly qualities doesn't always are not permanent. When Lord Chaitanya in Chaitanya Bhagavat, he declared that I will even kill my own family members to protect my devotees. As Krishna says in Bhagavad-Gita, Yome Bhakta Priyachati, declared boldly, my devotees never perished. So one Kalyavana or Bhuvaneshwara, he was a king who had saintly qualities, but due to bad association, he became a demon, and Krishna ended up killing him. And he was Krishna's son, because his father was Vraha, and his mother was of the earth. So it can happen that a person can be born in a demoniac family and become a devotee, and somebody can be born in a devotee's family and become a demon. Well, here we're talking about envy. Envy comes in different forms. One kind, unable to tolerate those who worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the devotees were, in the beginning of the movement, were faced with this kind of people who didn't understand who we were, what we were doing, and they were envious. The police would, when we went out for a Harinam and book distribution, the police would come and arrest us and harass us sometimes in different parts of the world, because they didn't understand what our movement was all about. And we had to educate people about our movement. So now they don't give us trouble. But even in Russia, they wanted to ban the Bhagavad-Gita more than one time, because they're afraid that if people read the Bhagavad-Gita, they'll become devotees of Krishna. And they didn't want that to happen. They thought that was a bad thing. So those who are envious, they see faults in people that don't have any faults. Like Srila Prabhupada, he was a faultless character, simply trying to preach God consciousness all over the world. And at one time, I was going to a doctor who wasn't favorable, he wasn't inimical, he was neutral. He said, thought so. And so he gave me treatment and he gave me discount. But one day, this was in 1982 or 3, it was 5 years after Prabhupada had left the planet. One day he said to me that your spiritual master is just like everybody else in this world. If he's in a room with women, he's going to become agitated. So I don't know how he had this misconception and how the man could be envious of Srila Prabhupada, having never met him, having no idea about him, but he was envious of him anyway. And his envy came out at that one point. I didn't say anything. So you're not supposed to preach to the faithless. So I didn't try to defeat him in any way. I just remained silent. I told him that this is improper. This man, you never met this man, so how do you know about his qualities? Because he thought that Srila Prabhupada was like the other gurus, the false gurus who keep 18 women sannyasis and have sex life with their sannyasis. He thought Prabhupada was one of those kind of gurus. But he had no grounds for this understanding. So our devotee made this wonderful movie. What's his name? Made the movie. What's his name? Yeah, Yadabar Das made a wonderful movie about Prabhupada, and many people have seen that movie and it's changed their opinion about Srila Prabhupada and about this movement. So in this way, the demoniac people, they don't like, they disbelieve in the scripture and they blaspheme against God's supremacy, and they put forth false, dishonest logic. So we know that the first offense in chanting the holy name of the Lord is to blaspheme devotees who are engaged in spreading the holy name all over the world. This is called the mad elephant offense, blaspheming devotees. And good demons don't know that. Then if you blaspheme a devotee, you're going to get a reaction. There was an assembly of devotees, and they invited Haridas Thakur to speak about the glories of the holy name. So Haridas Thakur said that he asked the question, what's the benefit of chanting the holy name? One person said, you get free from sinful reactions. Another person said, you get liberated from the material world. Another person, about Haridas Thakur, said these were just side effects of chanting the holy name, but the real benefit was you get prema, or pure love of God. So there was one person in the assembly that couldn't believe that just by chanting the holy name you could attain perfection. His name is Gopal Chapala, and he was Gopal Chakravarti, and he was very handsome man, and he had a big position as a tax collector. So he said to Haridas Thakur that what you say, if what you're saying is not true, may your nose fall off. And Haridas Thakur, being a humble devotee, Janadapi Sunichena, said, yes, I agree, If what I say is not true, may my nose fall off. I'll cut my own nose off. Of course, then Haridas, everyone apologized to Haridas Thakur for this man's such a rude thing to say to someone. Even if you don't like someone, you wouldn't be so rude and so harsh. But when after this happened, within a few days, so they kicked this man out and took away his position because they knew he had blasphemed Haridas Thakur, and very soon he got leprosy, and his nose melted and his fingers melted away. When people get leprosy, they lose their different parts of their body. So this is a result of blaspheming of devotee. So we should be very careful that we don't blaspheme devotees even in our mind, especially if we don't like someone. We should keep it in the closet. But it says when you see a Vaishnava and you don't feel happy or joyful, then you have to go to hell as long as the moon and the sun are shining. This is in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So we should appreciate the good qualities of devotees, not see their faults, seemingly faults. But in a pure devotee, there are no faults, but some they may appear like it. In Nectar Instruction, it says that we should not see a devotee being in a low-born family or having a bad complexion or wrinkles or this or that. You shouldn't see all these things. It's not his identity as a spirit soul. He's still a pure devotee, no matter what condition he may appear to be in at the present moment. So, but the demons, they don't know anything about blasphemy. They don't know anything about scripture. They're envious about their own others and their own self, and they have false prestige of wealth and strength, and they think no one can be equal to them. And they don't know about karma or next life, so they think they can do anything they want, and there won't be any reaction. There won't be any consequences. But it says they commit violence on others, on his own body. So we see the Muslim terrorists. They for some reason or other, they think that if they put a bomb on themselves and go and blow up a good number of people and blow up themselves at the same time, that they'll get to go to heaven and enjoy with virgin girls. So there's example of demons. They're actually demons, and those following the Islamic tradition, they don't approve of this. They denounce this terrorism as not being anything to do with the Muslim religion, but it's still going on. And the people who do that, they have this idea that they're going to get some benefit by blowing themselves up and blowing other people up at the same time. So this is one example of how they're doing violence to others and themselves. And also, in the hippie days and today, all over the world, people are taking intoxication. And we know that by taking intoxication, it is very harmful to your body. It's not healthy for your body. Taking alcohol and taking drugs and everything has a negative effect on your brain. So people are doing these kind of things. So the envious person are envious of the scriptures, like the scientists and the other people, other religions. They think it's mythology, and they hear about Krishna's pastimes, Krishna's dancing with the gopis, Krishna's lifting Govardhan Hill. They think it's all mythology. It's just something someone made up. But we know that Krishna's tu Bhagavan Sayam, and Krishna comes Atmamaya by his own energy, by Yogamaya potency. He appears in this world. Yada yada hi dharmasya. Every millennium, Krishna appears or incarnates in his own spiritual form. But when Krishna incarnated, he didn't reveal himself to everyone. Even on the Battle of Kurukshetra, there were 640 million people. Krishna comes to the material world to rid the burden of the world of demoniac elements. So he arranged for the Battle of Kurukshetra. So there were 640 million people on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and they all died in the battle, except for a handful who remained. And those who knew who Krishna was, they went to Vaikuntha. And those who didn't know who Krishna was, thought he was just a powerful person, an ordinary person, they got liberation. They went to the Brahma Yoti. So Krishna benefits everyone. Krishna is kind to all living entities. So they got benefit. They all got some benefit. But those who know who Krishna is and worship Krishna, they get a different result. The demons were always coming, sent by Kamsa. When Kamsa was driving the chariot of his sister Devaki, wedding, engagement, and there was an oracle, a voice from the sky that said, Kamsa, you fool, the 8th child of your sister is going to kill you. So Kamsa, being a demon and having no moral character, immediately wanted to kill his own sister. Actually, she was his cousin sister, but they had different fathers. So Kamsa wanted to kill his own cousin sister when he heard that voice, and the voice said the 8th child, not the 1st child. So Vasudeva was the wife of Devaki at that time, so she tried to reason with Kamsa, put forth some logical arguments why he shouldn't kill her. So finally, he couldn't find any solution. So he said that I promise that every time I have a child, I'll bring that child to you. So Kamsa knew that Vasudeva was a man of honor and would always keep his promise. So that cooled him off. So he desisted from doing anything violent at that time. But then he got bad advice from other people, and he did end up killing the children of Devaki, until finally Krishna came and killed Kamsa. So this is the Kamsa, Ravana, so many demons in the world in different ages show their demonic qualities, and Ishwara Ham Bhogi, and the demons always want to stay in power, and if anybody tries to stand in their way, they cut that person down. They made a movie in the 70s. It's called The Godfather. There was a band of men they call the mafia, and the mafia is they lend money to people and help people in certain ways, and then the people have to pay them back. But if they don't pay them back, then they end up killing that person. And in the news, it was come every day that the mafia had killed someone. And in America, we had big cars with big trunks, big luggage space in the back. And the police would find dead bodies there that were killed by the mafia. So if the Godfather, he was a cruel, vicious person, if someone didn't agree with his demands, he would take action to the point of killing persons, not knowing that there's some karmic reaction and that he's going to have to be killed in his next life. So this kind of people are there in the world, all over the world today. Demons. Demons are always opposed to devotees. But by preaching and spreading Krishna consciousness, we can at least find those people are innocent. The demons, we don't know who's a devotee, who's a demon. It's like, but Narada Muni had made one cobra into a devotee, and cobras are envious animals and will bite anyone for no reason. So Narada Muni told this cobra that you don't bite anyone anymore. So the cobra knew that, so the children around him knew that he wouldn't bite them, so they were throwing stones at him and making fun of him. So Narada Muni told him that you don't have to bite anyone, but you should just show your hood like you're gonna bite someone. So in this way, Narada Muni was able to convert different people. Magraya the hunter, there was one hunter who was half killing animals. And Narada Muni was in the forest path seeing this going on, and he asked the hunter why you're half killing animals. He said, if you have to kill animals for your livelihood, why don't you kill them all the way? And the hunter said, no, my father taught me this, and I get great pleasure in half killing animals and seeing them suffer. So Narada Muni showed them that these animals are going to come back and do the same thing to him. So he became a little mindful, and he became Narada Muni's disciple. And when Narada Muni went back to see his disciple, who was now living in a hut and living a very simple life, when Narada Muni went to see him again, he was jumping up and down. So Narada Muni asked him, why are you jumping up and down? He said, because there were ants on the road. I didn't want to step on them. So it's possible to convert even the most vicious, demoniac kind of people into devotees. In New York, devotees would go on Harinam Sankirtan every day, and there was a man in a newspaper stand who didn't like the devotees, and he would always blaspheme them and scream at them insulting words. But then the devotees stopped doing Harinam in that place for 2 years. And when they came back, the man was so happy to see the devotees. He said, where have you been? I've been waiting to see you. So he had somehow Krishna changed his heart. That he was no longer a demon, but he became favorable. So in this way, these kind of people in the world today, especially in Kali Yuga, says Srimad Bhagavatam, Prayena Yusaha Kalavasmin Yugajanaha Manda Sumanda Matayo, Manda Bhagya Yajutaha. Then in this age of Kali Yuga, Iron Age, men have but short lives. They're quarrelsome, lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above all, always disturbed. So people are disturbed when they see devotees, and they say, why don't you get a job? And they see the devotees living comfortably and not working hard like them. Some people have 2 jobs just to maintain their family. So they say, why don't you get a job? So we say, well, we have a job, and that's to make you a devotee. That's our job. But we devotees live a very simple. We don't have to work hard in the material world to try to make money, to keep up with the Joneses, to keep up the status quo. Srila Prabhupada started this International Society for Krishna Consciousness so the devotees could associate with each other and live together peacefully. Birds of a feather flock together. If you have two crows flock with the crows, the pigeons flock with the pigeons. Different animals flock with different animals. So someone's a thief, you associate with him, you become a thief. Someone's a drug addict, you associate with him, you become a drug addict. If someone's a devotee, if they get the association of devotees, then they have a good chance of becoming a devotee. So in this way, take shelter. The demoniac, they take shelter of false ego, strength, pride, lust, anger, and disrespect God. From the 15th chapter of Bhagavad-Gita, it says, those who are free from illusion, false prestige, false association, done with material lust, free from the duality of happiness and stress, undisturbed, surrendered unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and attained to that supreme abode. So that's just the opposite. The devotee is free from all these bad qualities. But the demons have all these bad qualities, and they are very proud of their strength. One very famous boxer, famous athlete, he thought he advertised himself as the greatest. I'm the greatest. But he got Parkinson's. Now he can't even lift a cup of water. Can't even lift a cup of tea. He doesn't have any strength anymore. So his greatness didn't last very long. And there are false gurus, false people, bogus gurus who claim themselves God and try to make a show. One man in Delhi, he was one of those false gurus, and he had millions of dollars or crores of rupees and millions of followers, but somehow someone made a court case against him, and he ended up getting lifetime in jail, so-called God. So there were different gurus in America who will cheat the innocent people. People want to get cheated. There's the cheaters and the cheated. So if you want to get cheated, you can get a cheap guru. Srila Prabhupada said I could have hundreds and thousands of followers, but I don't want cheap followers. So he said everyone in this movement must follow 4 regulated principles: no eating, no gambling, no intoxication, no illicit sex. And none of these other so-called religious organizations stress those principles. And he wanted everyone to chant 16 rounds of Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, every single day. And if for some reason you can't finish your 16 rounds one day, then the next day you should finish the rounds you missed that day, last day, but before you eat or sleep or do anything else, and chant 16 rounds again. This promise at the time of initiation. They asked Prabhupada, if someone doesn't chant 16 rounds, what do you think about him? And Prabhupada said he's no better than an animal. A gentleman makes a promise, should not break our promise. If for some reason you can't chant your rounds, if you're sick or if you're some situation, you may not be able to chant your rounds, but in the future you should make up those rounds you missed and continue chanting. And Krishna says in Bhagavad-Gita, even if one commits most abominable activities, he's still considered saintly because it continues to perform devotional service. So if one commits an abominable activity by accident, and in the material world, Davyesha Gunamaya Mamamaya Durataya, material energy is very strong, so anybody can be victimized, especially by illicit sex. Someone can be victimized. When the prostitute was sent, Ramachandra Khan, he was envious of Haridas Thakur for no reason. Haridas Thakur was just sitting in a hut chanting Hare Krishna all day long. So people were envious. He was envious of Haridas Thakur. So he called a group of prostitutes and he said, I want you to go to Haridas Thakur and make him fall down. Or make him have sex, have union with you. So one prostitute said, I will do that. So she went to Haridas Thakur in the dead of night, a beautiful woman, and she said to Haridas Thakur, you're a young man, very handsome young man, I want to enjoy with you. Well, Haridas Thakur said, I will enjoy with you, but there's one problem. I've not finished chanting my rounds. I have made a vow to chant 300,000 names every day. So when I finish chanting my rounds, then I'll fulfill your desire. So he told her to sit down and wait. He had a hut, and she sat down in front of Tulsi, and she listened to Haridas Thakur chanting the Maha Mantra all night. And then as the sun rose, Haridas Thakur said, well, I still haven't finished my rounds. I'm sorry, I couldn't keep my promise. So she came back the second night, and the same thing happened. And the third night she came back, and she admitted that her mission was to make Haridas Thakur fall down. And he already knew this. He said, I would have left this place 3 days ago. But that Ramachandra Khan is a foolish person, envious person. So therefore, I stayed here just to deliver you, make you a devotee. So that prostitute not only became a devotee like Haridas Thakur, she also gave up all her possessions. Haridas Thakur told her to give away all your possessions, just take one cloth, sit here in this hut, chant Hare Krishna, and worship Tulsi. So she did that. She started chanting 3 lakhs of the holy name every single day and eating very frugally. Frugally means you take 1/4 water, 1/4 air, and 1/2 prasadam in your stomach. And she would just sit there and chant, and whatever people brought her, she would eat. In this way, she became a famous devotee, and all by the mercy of Haridas Thakur. So we know that Srivas Thakur would have kirtan at his house every night, and the door was locked. It was only Mahaprabhu would only allow his devotees to enter into his kirtan. So one person became envious of Srivas Thakur, so he put the articles for worshipping Durga on the doorstep of Srivas Thakur. So in the morning when Srivas Thakur opened the door of his house, he saw these articles for worshipping Goddess Durga, and he called all the neighbors and said, look, I'm a Shakti worshipper. I worship Durga. Of course, they knew it wasn't true, but this man was envious of Srivas Thakur and the devotees who were doing kirtan all night. So he ended up getting leprosy, but then he begged for forgiveness from Srivas Thakur and became a devotee. So in this way, there are envious people in this world, and it is the job of this Krishna conscious movement to try to convert all those kind of people, different kinds of people, to Krishna consciousness. One devotee's stepfather didn't like the fact that he became a devotee. And he said that if you worked in a petrol station, you would be doing something useful, but now that you're a devotee, you become useless. So his parents were envious, but somehow or other, when he got married, before he got married, his stepfather came to Vrindavan and met the devotees. It became a little change of heart. He had a change of heart to some degree. So it's possible, but it's not possible to make the whole world Krishna conscious, but we can try to seek out the innocent people and preach to them and make them Krishna conscious. So I'm going to stop there. It says that those are envious, take shelter of false ego, strength, pride, lust, anger, and disrespect God and disrespect the scriptures. So, just the opposite. Bhagavad-Gita says, Sarva Dhamma Parityajya Mamekam Saranam Vraja Ham Tvam Sarvapama Nejo Masichaha, do not fear, surrender unto me, Sarva Dhamma Parityajya. So it's just the opposite. Krishna is telling people to surrender to Him, take shelter of Him, where the demons say we should surrender to the demons. But if you surrender to the demons, you don't get any benefit. You go to hell, they all go to hell. The Christians say you go to hell. And here it says, those who are demoniac. In the next few verses, Krishna casts them into demoniac species, birth after birth. So we don't want to have to go back into the lower species of life. And the human form of life is a life of responsibility to make sure that in our next life, whatever is in a higher position than it is now. Even if we don't go back to Godhead, what Krishna says, whatever you perform, devotional service you perform in this life, it will go with you in your next life. It's a spiritual bank balance, bank account. It goes with the soul, with the subtle body. And if you don't finish your Krishna consciousness in this life, you can take it up again in next life and keep going until you finally perfect your life and go back to Godhead. So any comments or questions?
It says a demon can be
Right,
envious.
don't talk so close to the
himself.
microphone.
A demon can be envious of himself.
Right, I can't hear what you're saying. You're talking too close to the microphone.
A demon, how can he be envious of himself?
What's the question? Say it again.
How can a demon be envious of himself?
How can the demons out there?
How could be a demon can be envious of himself?
Yeah, that's a good question. I also had that doubt how demons can be envious of himself. Can anybody answer that question?
Hare Krishna. Prabhu, we have left our families and come here and joining this Hare Krishna movement thinking that we will be advancing in our spiritual life. But when we are here, then we are envious of each other. Then how that we can control this, our envious nature?
Can you answer the question? No, but demon can be envious of himself if he does. envious because he's envious of other people. So if someone has a beautiful wife and he doesn't have one, then he's envious of himself. Someone has something he doesn't have, and he's envious of himself for not having those things. He wants to say something. Our lifetime bhakta.
Hare Krishna. Somebody, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, someone explained it also to me that it's like since the soul and the body are different, the soul can become so attached to the body that it becomes envious, or it could be the other way around. The soul becomes so attached to the body, it becomes envious of its true nature, which is just
No, that's a misconception.
Okay.
The soul does not become attached to the body. The soul is there, but only due to the influence of the three modes of material nature, we think we're attached to the body. It's only due to the influence of Maya. The soul is eternal, Satchidananda. That doesn't change. The soul is always Satchidananda. But due to the influence of Maya, we come in this world, and Hankara, Vimudama, here it says false ego, makes us think that the soul and the body are the same. But the body and the soul are never the same. And there's the soul is never attached with the body. Alright, we'll stop there. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Bhagavad-Gita, Grantha Ras, Bhagavad-Gita ki jai.